The olive branch snapped under Poppy's boot like a gunshot in the quiet of the Andalusian dusk, its jagged end drawing a thin line of blood across her palm that she didn't even feel. Marry her? Mom, you're out of your goddamn mind. She spat, her voice cracking like the dry earth beneath her feet. Eyes locked on the woman who'd birthed her but never truly seen her. In that split second, as the wind whipped through the groves carrying the faint salt of the Mediterranean, Poppy realized the family legacy she'd fled wasn't just vines and vintage. It was a cage disguised as inheritance, and Quinn, her sister's ghost of a widow, was the key they wanted her to turn. Quinn's hand trembled on Poppy's arm, not in fear, but in the kind of solidarity that comes from shared exile. Her hazel eyes flickering with a storm Poppy had only glimpsed in stolen glances over the past year. The air between them hummed with the unsaid. The way Quinn's laugh had started to mend the fractures in Poppy's chest since Lila's accident. The late-night confessions under the villa's tiled roof where grief blurred into something warmer, forbidden. But now, with Evelyn Hart's ultimatum hanging like a noose, Poppy felt the weight of it all. The rejection that had driven her across an ocean, the sister she'd lost to a cliffside curve, and the love she refused to let her mother commodify for one more legitimate heir to the Hart empire. Evelyn's lips curled into that familiar Hart smile. Polished, unyielding. The kind that had closed deals in New York boardrooms before transplanting their American dynasty to these Spanish hills. It's not madness, Poppy. It's survival. Lila's gone, but the estate needs blood, real blood, not whatever this is. She gestured vaguely at Quinn, then at Poppy, as if their truths were mere inconveniences to be swept under the terracotta rugs of Villa Solara. Poppy's stomach twisted. She'd known rejection before. High school whispers in Ohio, college heartbreaks shipped back unopened. But this? This was Evelyn weaponizing her daughter's widow, turning mourning into merger, all for the sake of a surname etched in olive oil and old money. Poppy Hart had always been the rebel branch on the family tree, the one that twisted away from the sun-baked precision of the Hart vineyards. Born in a Cleveland suburb where winters bit harder than her mother's expectations, she'd grown up chasing fireflies in fields that smelled of industry, not earth. Evelyn Hart, née Vanderbilt distant cousin, self-made wine magnate, had dragged the family to Andalusia a decade ago, chasing the dream of European roots to launder their Midwestern grit into something aristocratic. "We're building a legacy here," she declared, pounding the table at their first dinner in the crumbling Villa Solara, its whitewashed walls echoing with the ghosts of Moorish tiles and Franco's shadows. Poppy, 16 and already sketching women's faces in her notebooks instead of harvest yields, had rolled her eyes and muttered, "Legacy? Or just another tax write-off?" By 22, Poppy was out, first to Barcelona for art school, then scraping by as a muralist in Madrid, her canvases splashed with the raw edges of queer joy she discovered in smoky bars and rooftop parties. Lila, her older sister by 3 years, had stayed rooted. The golden child with the MBA from Wharton, and a knack for blending Bordeaux with Tempranillo that made critics swoon. Lila had married Quinn O'Sullivan 2 summers ago, in a civil ceremony under the villa's pomegranate tree, all lace and laughter and Evelyn's tight-lipped toast to family first. Quinn, an Irish-American sommelier with a laugh like wind chimes and eyes that held the Atlantic's depth, had fit seamlessly, until the rainy night on the Ronda Road, when Lila's car hydroplaned off a cliff, leaving Quinn widowed at 29 and the Hart empire heirless. Poppy had returned for the funeral, a whirlwind of black veils and catered jamon, her doc scuffing the marble floors as she dodged Evelyn's interrogations. "When are you settling down, Poppy? We need stability here." Stability. Code for straight, settled, spawning. Poppy had bitten her tongue, but the hook lodged deep. Over the months that followed, she'd lingered, first to help with the vines, then because Quinn's quiet grief mirrored her own unresolved ache for Lila. They'd walk the groves at dawn, Quinn's boots crunching gravel as she talked about Lila's quirks, the way she'd dance barefoot in the cellar, humming Sinatra off-key. Poppy shared her Madrid stories, the graffiti collectives, the women who'd taught her that love wasn't a ledger but a leap. It started innocently. A shared cigarette on the terrace, Quinn's fingers brushing Poppy's as she passed the lighter, both freezing at the spark. Then longer talks, knees touching on the worn leather couch in the library, where dusty tomes on viticulture hid dog-eared copies of Audre Lorde that Poppy smuggled in. Quinn confessed her own buried truths, growing up in Boston's Southie, where tomboy was the kindest word for girls like her, and how Lila had been her safe harbor, not her awakening. I loved her fiercely, Quinn said one night, voice thick with unshed tears. But there were parts of me she never reached. Parts I'm scared to name now. Poppy's heart had stuttered. She wanted to name them, to map them with her hands, but Lila's shadow loomed large and Evelyn's eyes sharper still. The proposal, if you could call extortion that, came on a sweltering August evening, the kind where the Sirocco wind carried Saharan heat and tempers frayed like old rope. Poppy had been in the cellar, knee-deep in barrels, tasting the 24 vintage with Quinn, their shoulders brushing as they swirled glasses under the low stone arches. Laughter bubbled up, rare and real, Quinn's head tipping back to expose the curve of her throat, and Poppy thought, this is what living feels like. Then Evelyn swept in like a storm front, her silk blouse crisp against the humidity, flanked by Ramon, the estate's ancient lawyer with his leather briefcase and perpetual squint. Family meeting, Evelyn announced, no preamble, her voice slicing through the oak-scented air. Quinn paled, setting her glass down with a clink that echoed too loud. Poppy straightened, wiping her hands on her cargo pants, the familiar dread coiling in her gut. They adjourned to the sala, the grand room with its frescoed ceilings depicting triumphant harvests, irony lost on no one. Evelyn paced, heels clicking on terracotta, while Ramon unfolded papers yellowed with age. The Heart Trust, amended post-Lila, clauses Poppy had ignored like bad wine. It's simple, Evelyn said, stopping before them, her blue eyes, mirror to Poppy's own though hers burned colder, fixing on her youngest. The estate passes to direct heirs. Lila was to inherit, with Quinn as steward until children. But now, void. She glanced at Quinn not unkindly but appraisingly, like a cask of potential. Quinn, your family, but the trust demands marriage an issue. American law, Spanish enforcement, bloodlines, darling. Quinn's jaw tightened but she said nothing, her hands clasped in her lap, knuckles white. Poppy leaned forward, voice low. So sell it off, Mom. Liquidate. We're not feudal lords. Evelyn's laugh was brittle, a champagne cork popping dry. Sell? This is us, Poppy. Your grandfather's sweat, my ambition. And you're the only heart left with the name. Marry Quinn. Give me a grandchild. Legitimize it all. The room spun. Marry Quinn. Not for love but ledger. Poppy's gaze flew to Quinn, who stared at the floor, cheeks flushed, not with desire, but the humiliation of being bartered. You're pimping out a widow for an heir? Poppy hissed, rising, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. I'm gay, Mom. I told you at 18. You shipped me to therapy, then Spain like it was a cure. And now this. Using Quinn like some broodmare clause. Evelyn's face hardened, the lines around her mouth deepening. Gay or not, you're a heart. Duty first. Quinn understands, don't you, dear? She turned to Quinn, expectant. Quinn lifted her head, eyes meeting Poppy's for a fractured second, pain, apology, a flicker of something electric, before she nodded faintly. I'll do what's best for the vines. For Lila's memory. Betrayal hit like vertigo. Poppy stormed out, the grove swallowing her as she ran, branches whipping her face, the snap of that olive limb her only anchor. She collapsed against a gnarled trunk, sobs racking her, the salt of tears mixing with the blood on her palm. How had it come to this? Love, nascent and tender, twisted into transaction. And Quinn complicit? Or cornered? Back at the villa, Quinn found her hours later, the moon high, casting silver on the dew-kissed leaves. Poppy, she whispered, kneeling, her dress pooling like spilled ink. It's not what you think. Evelyn. She has leverage. Debts from the expansion. If the estate folds, workers lose jobs, the village starves. I can't. Can't what? Sell yourself. Poppy's voice broke raw. She wanted to hate Quinn, but the pull was stronger. The way Quinn's hand cupped her cheek, thumb tracing the tear tracks, gentle as a vow. I'd never. But you. It's complicated. Quinn's breath hitched, her forehead pressing to Poppy's. Since Lila, I've been adrift. Then you came with your fire, your sketches of us hidden in the studio. I feel it too, Poppy. But this? It's poison. They stayed like that till dawn, words tumbling into confessions. Quinn's first crush on a boarding school roommate, buried under heteronormative armor. Poppy's Madrid nights, loving fiercely but fleeing deeper. When the sun crested the Sierra Nevada, painting the groves gold, Poppy pulled back, resolve hardening. We fight this. Together. No cage. Quinn's smile was tentative, a bloom in barren soil. Together. But Evelyn's web was tighter than they knew. The next morning, over café con leche in the sun-drenched kitchen, Ramon presented addendums. Quinn's inheritance, Lila's jewelry, a Madrid flat, contingent on compliance. Sign or forfeit, he droned, spectacles glinting. Poppy's fists clenched under the table, her mind racing to plans unspoken. Lawyers in Seville, allies in the village co-op, the queer network she'd built online, threads across oceans. The conflict simmered through September's harvest, the air thick with fermenting grapes and unspoken barbs. Evelyn orchestrated chance encounters, dinners where she praised Quinn's grace, needled Poppy's wanderlust. Workers whispered, loyal to the hearts but eyeing Poppy's murals on the bodega walls. Women entwined in vines, symbols of resilience. Quinn and Poppy stole moments, a brush of hands in the press room, a coded glance over ledgers, but the pressure mounted, Evelyn's calls to American cousins painting Poppy as the prodigal, Quinn the tragic damsel. One night after a storm lashed the coast, Poppy found Quinn in the widow's walk atop the villa. Wind-tossed hair framing her silhouette against lightning-veined skies. I can't breathe here, Quinn admitted, voice nearly lost to thunder. Lila haunts every corner and now this farce. I love the land but it's choking me. Poppy climbed the ladder, heart pounding. Then leave with me. Barcelona. Start over. She cupped Quinn's face, thumbs tracing jawline. The world narrowing to hazel eyes reflecting storm light. Quinn leaned in, lips brushing Poppy's in a kiss like absolution, soft, seeking, tasting of rain and resolve. It deepened, hands tangling in hair, bodies pressing close against the railing. The universe holding breath. When they parted, gasping, Quinn whispered, yes, but Evelyn won't let go easy. She didn't. The betrayal crested at month's end, a board of trustees arriving from Madrid. Evelyn's old Wharton network, suits starched against the heat. Over Rioja in the Sala, they proposed the merger. Poppy and Quinn wed in a private ceremony, child via surrogate, estate secured. Modern solutions, one said, smirking. Quinn excused herself, ill. Poppy seethed, but Evelyn cornered her after. It's for all of us, Evelyn pleaded, vulnerability cracking her armor for the first time. I lost your father to cancer, Lila to that road. You're all I have. Be the heir. Make me proud. Pride. The word that had chained Poppy since childhood. She walked out, finding Quinn in the studio, palette in hand, painting over one of Poppy's canvases, a half-finished portrait of them intertwined. Help me finish it, Quinn said, voice steady. Our way. As brushes met canvas, strokes bold and free, Poppy felt the tide shift. This was their high ground. October brought the vendimia's frenzy, the harvest a whirlwind of shears and shouts, baskets brimming with tempranillo under cobalt skies. Poppy threw herself into it, muscles aching from dawn patrols, her skin stained purple like war paint. It was armor against Evelyn's siege, subtle at first, then relentless. Invitations to family counseling in Malaga, where a therapist with a clipboard and no gaydar droned about compromise. Quinn played along publicly, charming the trustees with pairings that masked her growing distance. But privately, she and Poppy plotted like insurgents. Their war room was the old finca on the estate's edge, a stone hut once used for drying figs, now cluttered with Poppy's sketchpads and Quinn's notebooks of varietal notes. There, under lantern light that danced shadows on cracked walls, they mapped escape. Seville first, Poppy said one evening, pencil scratching a route on a crumpled map. Queer lawyers I know from Pride, they'll gut the trust on equality clauses. EU laws on our side. Quinn nodded, pouring them each a splash of last year's rose, her fingers lingering on Poppy's glass. And the workers? Ramon says half the village depends on us. If Evelyn folds the estate, we buy time. Crowdfund, co-op it. Poppy's green eyes sparked, the artist in her envisioning murals on bodega walls not of conquest, but community. Women vintners, migrant pickers, lovers unbound. Quinn watched her, heart swelling. This was the Poppy who'd captivated her. Not the dutiful daughter Evelyn craved, but the firebrand who'd painted Barcelona alleys with rainbows during Franco's dying echoes. Their intimacy deepened in stolen breaths. A kiss behind the crusher, sweet with grape must. Fingers laced under trellises, tracing promises in the dirt. But betrayal's shadow lengthened. Evelyn, sensing fracture, unearthed old wounds. She cornered Quinn in the herb garden, lavender bruising under her heels. "You owe Lila this," she said, voice honeyed venom. "She'd want the legacy preserved. Don't let Poppy's confusion ruin it." Quinn's retort was steel. Lila loved Poppy's confusion, called it her superpower. But doubt seeded. That night, she confessed to Poppy, tears salting their shared pillow in the finca's loft. "What if she's right? What if I'm just grieving, not this?" Poppy held her, heartbeats sinking like metronomes. "Feel your pulse, Quinn. That's real. Not Evelyn's ledger." They made love then, not frantic but reverent, bodies learning each other in the hush of olive-scented dark, whispers weaving futures free of chains. Dawn found them entwined, resolve renewed. The climax brewed at the annual Fiesta de la Vendimia, the village square alive with flamenco guitars and sizzling chorizo, lanterns strung like fireflies against the Sierra's silhouette. Evelyn had planned a spectacle, announcement of the union, trustees toasting under a banner of entwined vines. Poppy and Quinn arrived arm in arm, not as betrothed but allies. Poppy in a crimson blouse that hugged her lithe frame, Quinn in emerald silk that caught the light like sea glass. Whispers rippled. The village knew fragments, loyalties split between old money and new heart. As Evelyn took the makeshift stage, a flatbed truck draped in damask, she raised a glass, voice amplified over the crowd's murmur. "To the hearts." To Lila's spirit, carried forward by. Her eyes found them expectant. Poppy stepped up, microphone snatched like a gauntlet. "By love, not law." Gasps echoed. She pulled Quinn close, their kiss public, defiant. A spark in gunpowder air. The square erupted, some cheers, some jeers, Evelyn's face ashen as trustees shifted uncomfortably. Chaos followed. Evelyn lunging, hissing, "You ungrateful!" before Ramon pulled her back. Workers surged, Maria the forewoman, a leathery widow who'd taught Poppy to prune, shouting, "Libertad para el venado!" Freedom for the vineyard. Fists weren't raised but voices were, a tide turning. In the melee, betrayal unveiled. Evelyn confessed, voice breaking over spilled sangria. "I altered the trust." Quinn's flat? "Mine to reclaim if she refuses." Quinn recoiled, the depth of manipulation sinking in. Not just heir but hostage. Poppy shielded her, fury ablaze. "You're done, Mom. We're exposing it all, the debts, the clauses. Village co-op takes over tomorrow." Evelyn's empire cracked that night. Trustees fleeing to Madrid, lawyers summoned by dawn. But victory tasted bittersweet. As confetti swirled in the square's eddies, Quinn pulled Poppy aside, under the ancient fig tree where Lila's ashes were scattered. "I love you," she said, first time spoken plain. "But this fight, it's broken us all." Poppy kissed her forehead, tasting salt. Not broken. Remade. Yet fractures lingered. November's mists rolled in. Pruning season, a metaphor for excision. Evelyn retreated to the east wing. A ghost in pearls, sending letters via Ramon. Apologies couched in conditions, then silence. Poppy and Quinn led the co-op formation. Meetings in the sala now open to all. Villagers voting on yields. Women like Maria heading irrigation. Murals bloomed. Poppy's brush birthing scenes of harvest hands clasped across genders. Loves unbound. Privately, doubts gnawed. Quinn woke from nightmares of Lila's car, blaming herself for the road's curse. "Was I ever enough?" she'd murmur, curled against Poppy in the finca, now their sanctuary. Poppy countered with stories, Lila's letters from college, praising Quinn's spirit before they even met. "You were her light. Now mine." Romance wove through the drama. Walks to Ronda's Puente Nuevo, bridge spanning gorges like their chasm to healing. Picnics in cork oak groves where Quinn read poetry, wild, rich with Irish lilt, and Poppy sketched her profile, lines softening grief's edges. One evening, as alpenglow bathed the baubles, Quinn proposed, not Evelyn's farce but true. A commitment ceremony in Barcelona, rings of twisted silver olive. Poppy accepted, tears blurring the vista. To us. No heirs, just here. But Evelyn's shadow persisted. Christmas neared. The villa strung with lights that mocked festivity. A package arrived, Lila's journal, Evelyn's note clipped. Read. Understand. Pages chronicled Lila's own secrets. A college affair with a woman, Confessed to Evelyn, buried for the legacy. I chose duty, Lila wrote. Don't you have to, sisters? Quinn wept, the betrayal compounding. Lila's silence a mirror to her own. Poppy burned the journal in the hearth, ashes swirling like absolution. We choose us. The new year dawned with tentative peace, co-op shares distributed, vines thriving under communal care. Yet drama peaked in February's rains. When Evelyn suffered a collapse, stress, the doctor said. Heart strained like overripe fruit. Hospital in Malaga. Sterile white monitors beeping accusations. Poppy and Quinn arrived, hands linked, facing the matriarch diminished in her bed. IVs snaking like regrets. You win, Evelyn rasped, eyes dull. But lose me. Poppy's throat tightened. Not lose. Reclaim. She sat Quinn beside, weaving truths. Her love for Quinn, not as transaction but transcendence. The rejection that forged her, not felt. Evelyn listened, tears carving channels in powder-cake cheeks. I thought blood was all. Forgive. Not yet, Poppy said, honest. But maybe. As they drove back, rain-slick roads mirroring that fateful night, Quinn squeezed her hand. Human, all of it. Messy as mud. Spring unfurled, blossoms perfuming the air. Their Barcelona ceremony a quiet vow. Friends from Madrid, Maria toasting with homemade vino. Rings exchanged under gaudiest whimsy, promises etched. To fight, to love, to grow. Back at Solara, Evelyn emerged frail but trying. Helping in the groves, hands dirted for the first time. Asking about Poppy's art with genuine curiosity. Healing slow as root systems. Summer's scorch returned, but the estate breathed freer. Co-op decisions democratized. Yields up 20% from shared innovations. Drip lines from Maria's kin, organic sprays Quinn championed. Poppy's murals drew tourists, funding scholarships for village girls in enology. Life, once scripted, now improvise. Their love its boldest stroke. Yet undercurrents stirred. Evelyn's recovery masked machinations. Whispers from Ramon hinted at appeals to American courts. Trust loopholes invoking moral clauses, archaic as Inquisition edicts. She's rallying cousins. He confided over anisette in the cantina. His loyalty shifting like sand. Betrayals echo, family fractured, still scheming. Quinn felt it first, nights restless, tracing Poppy's tattoos, a rainbow vine curling her wrist, while staring at ceilings beamed with history. What if she takes it back? The flat, the vines, our home. Vulnerability cracked her poise. Poppy soothed with songs, guitar strummed soft in the finca, ballads of outlaws and lovers. To fortify they traveled. A week in Granada's Alhambra, Moorish arches framing their silhouettes as they wandered hand in hand, tourists glancing but not staring. In the Generalife Gardens, water channels murmuring like secrets, Quinn opened fully. Lila and I. It was safe, beautiful. But with you it's wild. Scary wild. Poppy grinned, pulling her into an alcove of myrtle. Good scary. The kind that grows you. Their kiss there amid fountain spray sealed it. Passion tempered by time. Deep as the Albaecin's labyrinth. Back home, conflict ignited. August mail brought summons. Evelyn via New York proxy, challenging the co-op as undue influence. Claiming Poppy's lifestyle invalidated her standing. The village rallied. Petitions signed in the square. Maria leading chants at town hall. But the drain was emotional, court dates looming like thunderheads. Poppy crumbled one dusk. Alone in the studio, brushes idle, canvas blank. Quinn found her, paint smeared and shattered. It's not just the land. It's her wanting me fixed, straight, fruitful. Like I'm defective code. Quinn knelt, gathering her close. You're the code that rewrites worlds. My world. They cried together, grief for lost sister-mother bonds, then rose, channeling rage into action. A podcast series, Poppy narrating heart secrets anonymized. Queer voices amplifying from Barcelona collectives. Listeners surged, donations flowed, exposing Evelyn's maneuvers in viral threads. The courtroom in Seville was a coliseum of oak and gilt, September sun slanting through high windows like judgment. Evelyn testified first, composed in Chanel voice steady. My daughters were my legacy. Poppy's choices threaten it. Cousins flanked her, Midwestern accents thick, painting Poppy the ingrate. Poppy's turn. Raw, unscripted. Choices? Mom, you chose silence when I came out. Therapy camps in the Pyrenees. Pray the gay away. Lila knew, supported me in letters you burned. This isn't legacy, it's control. She gestured to Quinn beside her in linen suit, hand steady on knee. Quinn's not a pawn. Our love isn't leverage. The co-op? That's true inheritance, shared alive. Quinn testified last, voice clear as cut crystal. Lila built this with heart, not clauses. I honor her by loving freely, building community. Evelyn, you taught resilience. Live it. The judge, a wiry woman with a flamenco dancer's poise, ruled swift. Co-op upheld, trusts reformed for equity. Evelyn's appeals denied. Cheers erupted outside. Village fireworks that night painting skies in triumph. But victory's afterglow faded into autumn's amber. Evelyn, defeated, withdrew further, selling her East Wing share to the co-op, departing for a Lisbon flat with a single trunk. Her goodbye was a letter slipped under the finca door. I see now, blood isn't chains. Be happy, my girls. Forgive when ready. Poppy read it aloud to Quinn by the hearth, flames licking parchment edges. She called us girls. Plural. Laughter mingled with tears, release. Winter softened them. Christmas at Solara. Co-op potluck, tables groaning under paella and pierogi from a Polish vintner. Maria's daughters caroling in bilingual harmony. Poppy gifted Quinn a portrait, them amid vines, Lila's spirit as a butterfly alighting. Quinn's gift. Seeds from Irish heather. For our plot wherever. Romance deepened, emotional layers peeling like onion skins. They hosted vine and verse nights, Quinn pairing wines with poetry. Sappho for rose, Whitman for bold reds. Poppy illustrating live, strokes sinking to verses. Lovers attended, hands held openly, the estate a beacon. Yet drama lingered in personal tempests. Quinn's grief resurfaced, anniversary of the crash. Driving the Rhonda road alone, pulling over to sob at the guardrail's scar. Poppy found her holding space, then guiding home. Grief's a vintage, it ages, changes, but doesn't sour if shared. Poppy's own storm. A gallery offer in New York, tempting escape. What if I go and you stay? She confessed, sketching Quinn's sleeping form. Quinn's reply. Then we bridge oceans. But go if it calls. I'll be your anchor. She stayed, murals expanding to village schools, teaching girls to claim canvases as theirs. Spring 2026 bloomed defiant. Their first co-op vintage labeled Reyes Libra. Free root, bottled with labels Poppy designed. Entwined hands, no crowns. Launch party under stars, Evelyn's absence a quiet ache, but toasts to her resilience. One night, post-launch on the Widow's Walk, Quinn turned to Poppy, ring glinting. Marry me? Not for law but life. Poppy's yes was a vow sealed in stars. The wedding planning became their canvas, strokes of joy amid life's palette. No grand affair, intimate in the groves at equinox, when leaves turned gold and earth exhaled harvest's echo. Guests. Maria and her brood, Madrid queer kin. A surprise video from Boston cousins who'd evolved past Evelyn's script. Vows exchanged under the pomegranate tree, Lila's sight. Poppy promising to paint our tomorrows bold. Quinn, to taste each day with you full-bodied. Evelyn sent roses, thorny fragrant, with a card. Witnessing from afar. Proud. Poppy tucked it in her bouquet. Forgiveness budding. Post-vow they honeymooned in the Azores, volcanic isles mirroring their terrain. Rugged reborn. Hikes through hydrangea tunnels, Quinn's laugh echoing off craters. Cliffside dips in Atlantic chill, bodies buoyant. Nights in stone cottages, love-making slow as lava flows. Exploring scars, celebrating strengths. This is us, Poppy murmured, tracing Quinn's collarbone. Erupted, eternal. Return brought routine's rhythm but deepened. Co-op thrived, expansions to ecotourism. Yoga and vineyards, queer retreats drawing souls from afar. Poppy taught workshops, brushes flying as participants claimed narratives. A trans teen from Seville sketching self-portraits. A couple from Chicago vowing under vines. Quinn's sommelier gift shown. A new blend, Corazon Doble. Double heart, dedicated to Lila and Poppy. Tastings became rituals, sips unlocking stories. Grief's tannins mellowing to love's finish. Drama resurfaced subtly. A journalist from El País, tipped by Evelyn's Lisbon circle, sniffing for scandal. Heart heiress's radical turn, queer co-op or collapse? Poppy faced the interview unflinching. Not radical. Human. Legacy isn't locked in blood. It's in the hands that tend it. The piece ran balanced, boosting sales but unearthed old pain. Quinn confronted Evelyn via call. First in months. Why the leak? Silence then. To force truth. You deserved headlines, not hiding. It cracked the ice. Evelyn visited in November, tentative, bundled against chill. Tea in the sala, now communal hub. Awkward at first, Evelyn's eyes tracing murals, lingering on Lila's butterfly. Beautiful, she admitted. Like her. Conversations flowed, halting. Evelyn sharing Vanderbilt tales, her own mother's rejection of a bohemian phase, and Poppy countering with therapy scars. Quinn mediated, grace her vintage. By Yuletide, Evelyn stayed. A place at the potluck table, toasting to roots rerouted. Healing's arc bent humanistic. Not erasure but integration. Evelyn volunteered in the cellars, hands calloused, learning Quinn's pairings with quiet awe. I was scared, she confessed one pruning day, shears snipping deadwood. Of losing control. Of you Poppy slipping away. You pushed, Poppy replied, but softer. Now pull back in. Winter's solstice brought revelation. Quinn over mulled wine shared a dream. Adopting, not birthing, a child to carry the vine's story. Not heir. Family. Poppy's heart swelled. They'd navigate it, papers and prejudices with co-op support. Spring trials tested. Adoption hurdles in Spain's bureaucracy. Interviews probing stability with veiled bias. A social worker's frown at their rings, unconventional. Stung but Poppy's advocacy, backed by village letters, prevailed. Little Sophia arrived in June, a 5-year-old from foster shadows, eyes wide at the Grove's green. Parenting wove new threads. Bedtime tales of Lila the vintner queen, Sophia's tiny hands in soil, planting her first vine. Romance adapted, date nights swapped for family picnics but sparks endured. Stolen dances in the kitchen, Quinn's lips on Poppy's neck as Sophia napped. Conflict crested again in July's heat, when a blight hit the Tempranillo, fungal whisper from climate's wrath. Panic rippled. Co-op meetings tense, yields threatened. Evelyn, now advisor, rallied. We've beaten worse. Innovate. Her network sourced resistant rootstock from California kin. Redemption in action. Through crisis, bonds fortified. Poppy sketched Sophia amid vines. La Pequeña heart. Little heart. Quinn bottled a resilience reserve. Auctioned for blight relief. Village unity peaked. Fiesta that year a symphony of survival. Autumn deepened emotions. Sophia's first school day, tears from all. Evelyn's 60th, a Grove party where Poppy toasted. To mothers remade. Evelyn's hug, fierce, first in years. As leaves fell, Quinn and Poppy walked the finca path. Sophia skipping ahead with Maria's girl. We fought for this, Quinn said, hand in Poppy's. And won, Poppy replied, kissing knuckles. The human way, flawed full. Yet life's drama whispered on. A letter from New York Gallery Redux tempting Poppy's solo show. Go, Quinn urged. Take Sophia. Show the world our roots. Poppy went. Canvases of Solara's souls. Quinn central, hazel eyes eternal. Opening night. Sold out, critics hailing Heart's Heir. Not wine but witness. Evelyn flew in front row, tears unashamed. Return was homecoming. Airport dash into arms, Sophia's squeal, vines waiting. In the finca that night, family entwined, Poppy whispered to Quinn. All I need. Years layered like vintages, each bottle a chapter. By 2030, Villa Solara was legend. A model co-op exported to Rioja, documentaries filming Poppy's murals as queer icons. Sophia bloomed 10 now with Quinn's curls and Poppy's fire. Harvesting her row with chance of Reis Libra. Evelyn, graying gracefully, wintered there, her Lisbon flat a summer pie de terra. Stories swapped over bocadillos. Vanderbilt follies, heartaches. Romance evolved, emotional bedrock. Anniversaries in Azores repeats, but now with Sophia building sandcastles of vine kingdoms. Intimacy seasoned, mornings tangled in sheets, coffee-scented, planning expansions. Evenings on the widow's walk, stargazing, fingers tracing constellations of scars healed. Drama inevitable struck in 2032's drought. Reservoirs low, yields halved, creditors circling like vultures. Co-op strained, arguments flaring. Sell parcels? Import water? Poppy clashed with holdouts, her artist's impatience boiling. We adapt, damn it, not surrender. Quinn anchored, mediating with sommelier's precision. Taste the crisis. What's the vintage teach? Nights she'd draw poppy baths in the old copper tub. Eucalyptus steaming doubts away. Love making a reclamation slow, sacred, reaffirming. Evelyn, weathered but wise, brokered. Calls to you grants, her old Wharton ghosts redeemed as allies. Rain came, reluctant, but renewal followed. Drought-resistant varietals, solar pumps funded by the Doku. Through it, betrayal's ghost exorcised. A final trust dissolution. Evelyn signing over remnants with a smile. Yours. All. Humanistic close. Sophia's Quinceanera 2035. Under pomegranates heavy with fruit. Guests spanned oceans, Maria's grandkids, Boston reformed cousins. A circle of loves. Vows renewed impromptu. Poppy and Quinn. Hands in Sophia's, pledging through thorns and triumphs. Evelyn spoke last, voice quaver. I rejected, schemed, grieved. You taught forgiveness, not mine but for self. Legacy. It's you three, unbreakable. As fireworks faded, Poppy pulled Quinn aside, Groves whispering approval. Fought back, loved through. Worth every snap. Quinn's kiss deep said all yes. In the end, not tragedy's veil nor fairy tale gloss, but humanism's hue. Flawed family, fierce love, fields forever free. The hearts rerouted, rooted deep in Spanish soil. American hearts beating unbound.